hey, I finally did it. I got 2,000 subscribers, which means I'm a super legitimate YouTuber person now. Anyway, I asked people on Facebook and Twitter what I should do to celebrate, and somebody suggested that I look at some old scanlations that I did of manga in the past and say what I would change now that I'm a professional, and I thought that was a pretty fun idea. So I pulled up an old scanlation that I made of Chibi Maruko-chan. It's one of my favorite series, manga, anime, etc. It's so freaking good. It's not very traditional anime-ish. Like, the art style is pretty, like, it looks like a 10-year-old drew it, but it's about like a 9 or 10 or 8-year-old, you know, it's about a little girl, so it makes sense, the art style does. And it's just a very cute, like, cynical, sophisticated look at life in Japan in the 70s through a child's eyes. I will be periodically uploading my old scanlations. I did more than just this one, and I'll be periodically uploading them to my Facebook and Twitter pages, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and add me there and you can see them. But for today, I'll just be looking at Chibi Maruko-chan. I translated episode 25, Maru-chan Wins an Award. And you see this is the first page of my scanlation, and she's going smile, smile. So in Chibi Maruko-chan, there is a narrator, and if you've seen Arrested Development, he is kind of that sort of persona. He's like the cynical voice who cuts in occasionally like, actually, that's not true, or actually this. And it's pretty cool. Anyway, so the narration says, "This is the picture Maru-chan drew and won an award for in the local art contest. Obviously, she was not up against much competition." And her picture is Tokoya-san by Sakura Momoko. And if you look at the original Japanese, as you can see, I flipped the speech. I know in a lot of English version releases of manga, I think they leave it still right to left, which I think is kind of weird, but at the same time I can understand why they're doing that, because if a character like is known for having his right ear missing or something, then when it's flipped it's now his left ear, and that's weird, so I guess I can understand why they do that, but at the same time it's kind of confusing, so I flipped it. So I don't know if I do that the same or different now. So, Maru-chan, shoujo morau no maki. Yeah, Maru-chan wins an award. And Sakura Momoko, nico nico, that's sound effects for smiling. So I do that the same. これは喧嘩の絵画コンクールで入選したMaru-chanの絵である. That's the picture that Maru-chan drew and won an award for in the local art contest. It's not really local, like kenka is like prefectural, but I was actually good in translating that as local instead of prefectural, because A, we don't really have prefectures in the United States, so it's not really as in our brains as like that's a thing. So I think that word would stick out and sound weird, and local makes more sense. And then the narration says, Yohodo reburu no hikui konkuru means like, yes, it was a considerably low level. Konkuru is like contest. Deatta, rashiki koto ni. It seems like it was a low-level art contest. Utagai no yochi wa nai means like there is no doubt. So my translation of obviously she was not up against much competition, that was a more localized version of that. The literal translation would have been it appears that this art contest was particularly low level. And it's like, I think this localized translation that I did 15 years ago, obviously she was not up against much competition. Like, I think that's a little more clever sounding. And that's kind of the purpose, like I said again, of this narrator. He's like the Arrested Development narration guy, and that he's just kind of making fun of her. Okay, so here's the first 2 pages, and her teacher says, "And so, boys and girls, Momoko will receive an award from the principal at tomorrow's assembly. Let's all give Momoko a big round of applause." And in Japanese he's saying, そういうわけで、明日の全校集会で桃子ちゃんは校長先生から賞状をいただきます。So you wakade means end on that note, or into that end. At tomorrow's ashita no zenko shukai, like school-wide assembly, tomorrow's school-wide assembly, Momoko-chan will be, Kocho sensei kara is from the principal, shoujo itadakimasu, she will be receiving an award from the principal. So my translation is pretty straightforward. There's really no interpretation needed there. Minasan mo Momoko-chan ni hakushu o shite agemashou. That really doesn't need interpretation either. Minasan mo is like, hey, you guys also. Momoko-chan ni, to Momoko-chan. Hakushu o shite means to applaud. And then agemashou is like to present. So hakushu o shite agemashou means like applaud for someone. So let's all give Momoko a big round of applause. Yeah, that's fine. And then clap, clap. And then she goes, tee hee hee. And in Japanese, he's going, ehe, which is basically tee-hee-hee. And then one of her classmates says, wow, Maru-chan, you get to be praised in front of the whole school. And in Japanese, it's, Maru-chan, sugoi ne! Zenkou seito no mae de hyoushou sareru nante! And like my kid voice. So yeah, Maru-chan sugoi ne, like, wow, Maru-chan. Sugoi ne means, wow, that's awesome. Zenkou seito is the students of the entire school, so the entire student body. Hyoushou sareru means like to be praised, to be commended. So my translation is spot on. And then she goes, ehehe, like an anime character with tee-hee-hee. And the other kid says, yokatta ne, which you'll find Japanese people say a lot. And literally, yokatta ne means that was good. But that's not at all what it means in this kind of application. This is why localization is really important. I translated that as good for you. That's often what it means. It means like good for you, or I'm proud of you, or I'm happy for you. That's usually what it means. So good for you is fine. Like I'm happy for you would be fine. Although that could sound a little insincere coming from a little kid. So I think good for you is fine. Okay, so a student says, hey, do you think your parents might give you some reward? Yeah, they probably will. Really? And in the Japanese, they say, ねえ、家の人からご褒美に何か買ってもらえるんじゃないの? そうそう、いいな. And then she goes, eh? So, ね means like, hey. So, 家の人から, 家の人 means basically your family. The people at home is literally what it means, but your family or your parents. ご褒美 means reward. に何か買ってもらえるんじゃないの means like something bought for you. So something bought for you as a reward. Don't you think the people of your household might do that? And I translated it as, hey, do you think your parents might give you some reward? Yeah, so that's spot on. So, ii na. Okay, this is another thing. Ii na literally means like good. I means good, and then na is sort of ah. So it literally means yes, yes, good. But in good English, it means, oh yeah, totally, you're so lucky, or lucky you. I translated it as, yeah, they probably will, which is technically not what she was saying. But the function of what she's saying here is she's basically just agreeing with her friend who's saying like, hey, they're gonna give you a reward. I don't know why I translated that as, yeah, they probably will, exclamation point. But I think it does the trick. I think it's pretty much in the spirit of what she's saying in the original Japanese. And then you also have to take into consideration, because this is a scanlation, and there's like words that have to fit into speech bubbles, it might have simply been a case of, the words will fit into the speech bubble really nicely if I translate it as, yeah, they probably will. Yeah, I mean, the real thing that she said in the original Japanese is like, oh yeah, man, I wish I were you, or yeah, lucky you. And that might not read very well in like written English. In spoken English, I can get the sentiment across really well, but in spoken English, not so well. So that might have been why I translated it as, yeah, they probably will. And then Maru-chan says, reward, eh? I hadn't considered that at all. In the Japanese, she says, そっか、ご褒美か、全然思いつかなかったよ. Yeah, so そっか、ご褒美か, so そうか means, oh, really, or interesting. A reward, eh? So yeah, I combined those two thoughts, like そうか、ご褒美か. It's like, interesting, reward, eh? I just combined those two thoughts into reward, eh? Because again, I have to fit a certain number of words in a speech bubble, so I think that was a smart choice. 全然思いつかなかったよ. 全然 not at all. 思いつく is to think of, to have it come to mind, and then so つかなかった means like that did not come to mind. So I hadn't considered that at all. And then I say, I better take advantage of the situation and ask for something really big. He, he, he. And in the Japanese, この際だからうんと高いものかけてやろう。しめしめ. この際だから means like, because this is happening, or in this case, or as long as this is happening, I might as well, you know, that kind of feel to it. Unto is like, unto takai mono, like a really expensive thing. Takai means expensive in this case. Sometimes it means high or tall, but in this case it means expensive. Fukkakete yaro. So fukkakeru is sort of to provoke, to make people do something for you, so that works totally. Shime shime is sort of like, it's a sound effect, really. So he works. Okay, so I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because honestly, I feel like the translation I did a long time ago is really good. And I know this video would probably be more interesting if it's a look how much I've grown and how much I've improved. But really, you'd have to go back further to my high school days probably, and I don't have any of those translations anymore, so I can't compare to those. But yeah, I mean, this translation that I did in the early zeros, like, it's honestly quite good. And I looked through it and I couldn't really find much of anything that I would change. But I did find one thing that I would change. Okay, so I'm jumping ahead in the story, and later that evening she's hatching her scheme to tell her family about her award, so they will give her a reward. And she says, ta-da, ta-da, ba 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 ba. You have to read it like that. In the original Japanese, she goes, pam ba pam 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 pam. Basically the same thing. And then she says, hey everybody, listen up. And then her dad says, what's the racket all about? And the Japanese, minna chotto kiite. Everyone, listen for a little bit. Literally what it means, but yeah. Hey everybody, listen up. And then her dad says, nanda, sozoshi. So sozoshi is like noisy, annoying, kind of like urusai. So nanda sozoshi means, what is it? You're noisy. That's what it literally means. But I combined that sentiment into like, what's the racket all about? Good job, past Sarah. Okay, so we're finally coming up to the part that I would change as a professional. Like, finally. So she says in the English version, what I am about to tell you guys would surprise even an Indian. And then the narrator says, is this the only use she has for Indians? And this is a case where localization matters. Okay, this was a very literal translation. In Japanese, she said, kore kara Maruko ga hanasu koto wa? So what Maruko, she often refers to herself. She often uses her name as her personal pronoun, by the way. She'll say, Maruko wants to go to the store. Like, that's actually quite common for Japanese people to do that, by the way. It's not weird, which is why I don't translate it that way, of her using Maruko in place of I and me. I digress. Anyway, kore kara hanasu means like, what I'm about to tell you. So that part's fine. What I'm about to tell you guys. Indojin mo bikkuri. And this is an expression. Yeah, so this phrase had come up, I had seen it come up occasionally, so I know it's just a saying. They don't literally mean like Indians would be surprised. So now that it is the future and I have Japanese Google at my disposal, I can actually look up that expression, Indojin mo bikkuri, and see. And yeah, indeed, it's a saying that happened a while ago. And it might have originated in an ad campaign for something, but it became just a part of the Japanese zeitgeist. They would just use that expression. So it doesn't literally mean even an Indian would be surprised by this. And if we translate it literally into English like that, especially like in American English, it just sounds like we're being racist. Like, oh, even black people would be surprised by this. I mean, you don't want to say things like that. It just sounds weird. And it's just not an expression that we have in our language. We don't say that. So as a professional, I would have changed that. Instead of saying would surprise even an Indian, I would say something like a phrase that we actually use to express that sort of thing, like this will blow your mind, or this will knock your socks off. And then the sarcastic rebuttal that the narrator had in Japanese, he said, Indojin te nande konna keiyo ni tsukawareru ndaro? So even the narrator here is asking, like, why are Indians usually like described in this way? Like, why are they, used for this purpose? So the narrator is basically asking, dude, why is this expression even a thing, basically? However, that expression is not even a thing in English. So again, this is why localization matters. I would not have translated it as even Indians would be surprised. I would translate it maybe as, like, off the top of my head, this will knock your socks off. And then maybe I would have the narrator say something like, God, that must have been a cheap pair of socks. Or I think it's time to get some new socks. So that is the thing that I would change. And like I said, to be honest, like my old translation of this, and I looked over other scanlations that I did, they're actually quite good. I'm almost upset. So yeah, I mean, that's really the only thing that I would have changed if I'd been translating this today, that little non-localization flub. All in all, I found that I actually did some pretty damn good translations back in the day. And again, if you want to see more of these scanlations, go ahead and add me on the Facebook or the Twitter, and I will be uploading those there. So thank you for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers. What kind of video should I make when I get to 3,000 subscribers, if that ever actually happens? Also gotta promote my second channel here. Anytime I want to make a video that is not related to anime, manga, Japanese language, translating, freelance work, etc., I'm gonna upload it to my second channel now. At the moment, I am slowly, basically every single day, I'm taking down a cooking video that I have on this channel, which used to be a cooking channel, and I am re-uploading it to the second channel. So if you're interested in cooking or food, totally check that out. And I'm also going to be uploading more personal kinds of vlogs, other food challenges. I have in the past done challenges where I was vegan for a week, raw foodist for a week, processed food person for a week. My boyfriend and I are currently taste testing fast food burgers, all kinds of interesting things there. I want to also do some new cooking videos where I feature low cost but healthy recipes for all of you who want to save money and still be healthy and cook for yourself. Definitely check that out. And I'm also doing a little challenge thing with that, where if I get 100 subscribers on that channel by the end of November, I'm going to upload a video of myself reading the first chapter from a novel that I wrote about 10 years ago. Yes, folks, I have a novel and about 3 or 4 chapters of another one sitting on my hard drive. I've never seen the light of day. I'm the only one that's ever read it, and that's kind of a shame. I kept meaning to edit it and make it good, maybe, but I need a kick in the butt to do that. So I figured I'd basically leave that up to the power of YouTube, and when I reach certain milestones, I'll upload a new chapter, perhaps.
Okay, bye now.